So I love living in Vancouver. That's why I've got a whole playlist of videos about it. The city's got pretty much everything we could ask for in my opinion, and that's why so many people are looking into moving here and living here. And you guys really enjoyed the last video I made on this topic, so I figured I'd throw together another list of things that I wish I'd known before I moved here, and maybe they'll help you out too. Number one, we're getting right into it, and that is saving money with numbers. And what I mean by this is Vancouver is expensive, and a big part of our expenses is our rent. And the average one-bedroom apartment rents for around $2,000 a month, but the average two-bedroom apartment rents for around $2,600 a month. Meaning if you have two bedrooms and one person lived in each one, and you guys split the rent, you'd only be paying $1,300 a month each. And the pattern kind of continues, like the average three-bedroom apartment is around $3,000 or $3,200 a month, meaning you can be paying around $1,000 a month now instead of paying that initial $2,000 for your own place. So kind of like the more people you live with, usually the lower you can get your rent. For example, I live in a two-bedroom apartment and I have one roommate and we pay $1,100 a month each. And I have some people that I know down the road who rent out a 10-bedroom house that is huge and it even has an indoor pool. But since there's so many people that live in that house, their rent is about $800 to $900 a month each. So they actually pay less than I do for this place, and their place, to be honest, it's nicer. I mean, they have a freaking pool and they pay hundreds less per month. Not to mention with more people and more rooms, you're definitely gonna have more like living space. But of course, it's a bit of a trade-off because I would rather live with one person than like 9 other roommates. Yes, with more people, you get cheaper rent, but you also have less privacy. Number 2 on this list is location. And what I mean by this is, well, one of the best parts about living in Vancouver is being right along the ocean. We really want to take advantage of it. So whenever people tell me they're moving to Vancouver, I always tell them to take a look at like how close that place is to the beach or to a beach. And it's not too hard to find a place relatively close to a beach because, you know, Vancouver has a ton of beaches. When you can even bike or walk to the beach like I did in my latest video, you can check that out above. It's a pretty good video. It saves you a bunch of hassle, especially, you know, driving through traffic. If there's traffic, you also got to pay for parking if you're going to drive there. Because if you move to Vancouver, you will go to the beach a lot. I can assure you of that. And by the way, whenever you're looking at places to rent online, you can usually tell how far they are away from the beach just by looking at the street number because they count up away from the water, at least in the Kitsilano area. Number 3 is minimum wage is not enough. Now, sometimes people message me on Instagram and ask if they could survive in Vancouver if they just moved here, worked part-time, and that was it. Maybe they want to study at the same time, or maybe they just want to work part-time and just live life. And what I say is that it depends on the job because the minimum wage in British Columbia, where Vancouver is $15.20. So if you were working part-time, you'd probably make anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 a month, depending on, you know, how many hours you work, which may be hard to live off of if, you know, your rent is $1,000 a month, which is, you know, what you can get when you split an apartment with other people. So I usually say if you're gonna work here part-time, you should probably try to have some savings at least before coming. So the short answer is kind of like a maybe. I wouldn't like plan for it. I wouldn't say that that should be your main plan. Without any savings, you might run into some problems. I'll link a video at the end of this video on how much it costs to live in Vancouver monthly if you haven't seen that video yet. So if you were to get a part-time job that pays more than minimum wage, then you could probably survive, but it still wouldn't be a lot. You wouldn't have a lot of cushion, pretty much. But without any savings, I still wouldn't do it myself. Number 4 is the truth about making friends. Now, if you've researched about Vancouver, you've probably seen that there's articles out there saying like Vancouver is the loneliest city, or it's so hard to make friends. I moved here 2 years ago without researching if it was hard to make friends, and I didn't realize it at all that it was supposed to be hard because it was just normal. It was like going everywhere I've ever lived and making friends there. It was the same. Everyone has different experiences for sure, so I'm not saying that it's a lie or anything like that. I just didn't experience it, and possibly that was because I moved here and went to school straight away. And obviously when you go to school, there's other people that are moving here just now and want to make connections and make friends as well. So if you're gonna go to school, I wouldn't think you'd have any problems. Even if you're moving here for a job, when I graduated and I got a job, I made a bunch of friends at my work. It's not like people don't want to have friends. And remember, if you move here, like one way to make friends, or even anywhere honestly, is just like connecting through hobbies. Like I love playing basketball and I've made countless friends just playing basketball at the courts and talking to people. Obviously not with COVID going on right now, but normally. Number 5 is maybe you shouldn't own a car. And I've mentioned in a previous video before that the insurance here is crazy expensive. Like I pay over $300 a month for my car that is not even worth like $2,000. And if you're a young driver, kind of like myself, I mean, I'm 22, I've had my license for 4 years, you will pay a lot of money because the company ICBC takes advantage of young drivers pretty much and just makes them pay a lot of money, and I've never even had a ticket. But not just speaking about insurance, but just owning a car in general here is pretty expensive because, well, one is parking, and it makes it so even just like doing your errands, like the simple things throughout the day, you're gonna have to spend money. When I get groceries, I have to pay for parking. If I was gonna go to the beach and drive there, you know, I have to pay for parking. If I was gonna go to the drugstore, I have to pay for parking. And that's for parking near stores and stuff, but we didn't even talk about parking downtown. So if you live downtown, I would suggest maybe don't own a car, because only sometimes when you get an apartment do you get a parking spot, and sometimes they even make you pay several $100s a month more to have a car parked there. And if the apartment doesn't have a parking spot, you have to pay a few $100s a month to the city of Vancouver to be able to park your car on the streets. If I lived downtown, I would not own my car, because right there I'd be paying $300 a month for insurance, plus like $200 or $300 a month to park it, plus the normal car expenses that come with having a car. Luckily, I don't live downtown right now, so my car just sits on the street and it's free there, because in this area that I'm in, it's more residential, so not everywhere is like that, but mainly in like the downtown part of the city. It can be a pain. Not to mention, pay parking goes up every year. I don't want this to just be a video of me complaining, because I'm like, I love the city, and then I just complain. But guys, these are things, you know, that I wish I knew. I'm being honest. Number 6 is that it's an unfriendly city, or at least there's some stigma around it like that. Again, I've seen articles about Vancouver saying, you know, it's one of the most unfriendly cities in Canada, or even in the world, like sometimes. And again, I would never even come close to saying those type of things. Some people message me and ask, is it really that bad as all these people say it is, and everyone's mean and stuff like that? And I didn't know this was a thing before I moved here, and my experience is that it's the exact same as like everywhere else. Every other city, at least. Have I had unpleasant encounters with like random people who are just like rude or something on the street? I have, yes, but I can't even remember the last time that that's happened. Like, for being here for 2 years, it's probably happened like a couple times. I feel like the smaller the town or city that you live in, the more it feels like a community, and the more people like care for one another and how they seem in that community. And when you live in a big city, even though Vancouver's not that big of a city, it feels a little bit disconnected because people don't know each other. And chances are, if you said hi to someone on the street, like 99% of the time they would say hi back. People aren't just like in general rude. Number 7 is scams. Now, I'm not saying there's just a whole bunch of scamming going on everywhere in Vancouver all the time. It's more specifically in one place, and that is when it comes to apartments. So this one could save you money, save you a headache, and also save you time. And I'm also going to show you guys an email that I got of someone trying to scam me when I was looking for a new apartment to move into, and also tell you how I knew it was a scam. So it's a normal thing for landlords, the people who own the property, to ask you for a damage deposit. It's a deposit of money, so whenever you move out, if you damage something, then they'll keep the money, but if you didn't damage anything, then they'll give you your money back. And that's a totally normal thing. But what these scammers do is they ask you to pay this deposit of money before you even see the place or even talk to them in person, because they'll say, oh, well, it's gonna rent to someone else, so if you want it for you and you want to reserve it, you can just pay that now, and then we'll go about the details after. And these scammers don't actually have, you know, access to these properties. They're just taking pictures from the internet and making fake posts. So most of the time when you ask if you can see the place in person or get a tour of it, they'll say something like, oh, I'm out of town. I say you shouldn't send any money until you've seen the place and got a tour of it in person. And a couple of the red flags were that, as you can see here, they asked for a picture of me, which is actually illegal in Canada because that can lead to discrimination. They also asked if I have any kids, which I believe is also illegal when looking to rent somewhere. On top of that, they also asked for my current address, current postal code, and, you know, they asked for a picture of me. These people might have been actually just trying to steal my identity, not just get some money from me, but actually steal my identity. Obviously, I wasn't going to give them that information, so I said, I'll tell you all that stuff after I get a tour. So when can we do the tour? And of course, you know, they just didn't respond. If something seems too good, it probably is, but if you aren't sure, you can always send me a message on Instagram at the adamjbell, and I will give you my opinion on the Vancouver apartment scene. I'll let you know if I think it's a scam or not. Hopefully this video was helpful to some of you guys and you got some takeaways from it, and check out this video if you want to see how much it costs to live in Vancouver per month. And that's it for this one, so I will see you guys next week.